In this video, we shall be looking at Deepcool's Rockmaster version 3.0. The Rockmaster is a multi-purpose card reader / fan controller, and the version 3 allows for USB 3 support. Content of the packaging: the controller, a USB 3 cable, various paperworks, mounting screws, and more cables for connecting to the fans. Let's look at that USB 3 cable. On one end there is a 20-pin connector that goes to your motherboard, and on the other there are two USB connectors that goes into the controller, which does mean that your motherboard needs to have a free 20-pin connector for the USB 3 connectivity. The other packet full of cables contained a Molex to 3-pin power cable for the controller, and there is a Molex bypass as well, so that you do not lose a Molex connector to power up the Rockmaster. There is a USB 2.0 cable provided as well, the reason for which we shall see in more details. Lastly, there are 4 3-pin power cables for your fans. Now let's look at the controller. As you can see, there are 4 control knobs for controlling the RPM of fans. However, there is no PWM function with this controller, so it should not be used to control RPM of the CPU fan. To the left of the fan controllers, there is the card reader and the 2 USB 3 ports. Now, depending on the situation, you may or may not be able to use the USB 3 ports, but we shall talk about that as we progress. The body of the fan controller is made out of metal. The card reader accepts SD, microSD, and CF cards. The back of the controller is open, as you can see. The white 3-pin connectors that you see are for the fans, and they are labeled fan 1 to fan 4. The rightmost connector is for power, and it uses that 3-pin to Molex cable we saw before. Towards the right, we have the 2 USB connectors. This is where the 20-pin blue USB cable that we saw earlier is used. Now, the issue here can be that a lot of motherboards has only one 20-pin USB 3 connector, and that is used up by the casing. So in this case, we will either have to leave it or use a bypass cable to run to the back of the computer and plug it into any USB port. On top of the 2 blue USB 3 ports, there's a black USB 2 port, which connects to the motherboard's USB 2 port using the black cable as we saw before, which means that the card reader's data transfer is carried by a USB 2 port, which when I first saw I was really disappointed with, and I will show you why. Over here I'm transferring some video files from the SD card to a SSD drive, and the average speeds that we are hitting is about 17 to 18 megabytes per second. And over here I'm copying similar video files using a USB 3 port. The speeds are averaging at over 60 megabytes plus. Yes, the source used is different and the SD cards have a limit of their own, but the point is that Deepcool did here a half job, provided USB 3 ports but did not connect it to the card reader. They needed to take just one more step, and what a difference that would have made. After installing, it doesn't look so bad, and black is the only choice we have over here. There is a slight amount of gap between the optical drive and the controller, but I'm sure that'll be fixed once we do a little bit of tweaking. So in conclusion, what I think is that Deepcool has made 3 individual components: a fan controller, a USB 3 extension, and a card reader, and put them in one single panel. The average price of the Rockmaster is about $30 Australian, and on that price I think it's reasonable. Generally, a fan controller alone may cost as much, considering that the addition of the card reader and the USB 3 extension is adding value to the component and also saving us space at the same time. End of the day, it will get done what it sets out to do. SD, microSD, and CF are the 3 forms of memory cards that are very commonly used these days. Having a receptacle for them in the computer can be very handy. We are transferring files all the time. The idea of just sticking it in is appealing. Whether if it is slow or fast, we'd rather have it than not. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. What you like or disliked about this video, please be sure to let us know in the comment section below. And please do also remember to subscribe in order to stay updated with our latest upcoming videos. Hope to see you next time. Bye for now.